All right.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Background Report with our co-host Carlos Torres. Carlos, how are things in Texas?
Oh, we have bipolar weather. I know you are cold there, but here's like some days are cold and then the other day it's gonna be in the 80s. So I don't know how to dress. Do I wear in the morning my jacket, then in the afternoon I have to take it off? It's just weird, but hey, everything good here other than
It's all
that.
about the layering, man. You got to have the right layering.
Yeah, I think that's the key. You have to have things you can take off because in the morning, my wife, we went out the other day and she was like, I had to take off my jacket because all of a sudden it was so much heat. I was like, yeah, that's Texas for you,
There
definitely.
you go, Carlos. The mess that is professional men's golf right now. We are playing on the PGA Tour. Uh, we've had five big events so far this year. The Tournament Champions back in January was won by Chris Kirk. The AT&T Pebble Beach was won by Wyndham Clark, who is the reigning U.S. Open champion. The Genesis was won by Hideki. Arnold Palmer and the Players were both won by Scottie Scheffler. The Players annually kind of signals a ramp up to the Masters, but it has been somewhat diminished due to the top names that have bolded for the LIV. Uh, Scottie Scheffler seems to be ready for the major season. What do you think?
I think he is. And, it's incredible that just about 25 months ago, we started talking about Scottie Scheffler. Oh my God, where's this guy coming from? And he started winning and playing so consistently. And right now, he has continued to do so. And definitely this back-to-back wins, especially this one in the Players, which, as we all know, is not an easy place to win and maintain that. And the way that he came back, I mean, that was a loaded leaderboard. We had Sander Schauffele, the defending Olympic champion. We had Scotty, was the defending players champion and became the first one to ever repeat on it. We had also Wyndham Clark, defending U.S. Open champion, and Brian Harman, the defending Open champion. There in the leaderboard. It was a very good leaderboard that he had to go through and win. So definitely he's very well positioned for the majors coming up.
So Scheffler is number one, and he seems to have solved his putting issues. And we've said this before that if the guy could ever get comfortable putting inside of 10 feet, he would never lose. And that seems to have happened. He seems to have found a putter and a stroke and a setup that he can work with. And he seemed much more confident with the putter. I mean, he's usually down in the hundreds in strokes gained putting and still winning the tournament. This week, he was well up in the top 10 of strokes gained putting and blew everybody away. Well, I didn't blow him away, but still, he came back to win. Even with a sore neck at the beginning of the week, he couldn't even hardly move and still was able to get the win. So, um, even though Carlos, Jon Rahm, Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka, Cam Smith, the other LIV players that are factors are not in the world golf rankings. Is Scheffler a worthy number one? Do you think?
I would say so. The only player from LIV that right now would say that we would be really missing is Jon Rahm. Um, Brooks Koepka may be the one that you would like to see more in the majors. Of course, there's some players like DJ that you would like also to see here, Cameron Smith. But honestly, other than those, really, who you want to see back here? I would say that the only person that is missing is Jon Rahm, basically. Cameron Smith, who was playing really, really well, or maybe the new world beater, Joaquin Niemann. I mean, that's incredible what he's doing there. But yeah, I think he's very worth it. This is not something that he's been doing just now. Like I mentioned at the beginning, it's been 25 months of run that he's been having an incredible, worthy of a number one. It's funny, maybe it's the chapstick routine that he's doing before once he ends up his practices and all that. But I don't know. He really is playing well. He now is rounding up. Maybe that's swap on the putter for the new TaylorMade Spider Tour X. I don't know. He really has figured it out, and he's definitely a worthy number one. I don't think it's fair to say right now, like a lot of people are trying to say, is he the next Tiger Woods? Even he laughed at it. He still has ways to go, but he
He's only
certainly
got
very,
like what, 13, 14 majors to go.
yeah, and about 10 more years of number one. But yeah, no, but he right now is the true clear number one. Whether Jon Rahm is here, whether Cameron Smith is not here, he is very deserving to be a number one.
Yeah, to your point, I mean, he won back-to-back big events on the PGA Tour, the Arnold Palmer and the Players. He leads almost every category on the PGA Tour. Plus, his putting has improved dramatically. So he has to be a really big favorite going into the Masters right now, I would think.
He should be, definitely. He's definitely the hottest player in the world right now. But also, it's great to see, two defending major champions also peaking at the right time. Like, we had, like I mentioned, Brian Harman and William Clark playing well, and Sander Schauffele, who also shows up for big events, is right there. So we do have a very good, we had a very good leaderboard, and we should be expecting the same in the Masters. Of course, that's an event on its own, and it has different mechanics to play, but Scottie Scheffler has the game to persist there. And if he keeps spotting the way that he's doing, I don't see how he's going to lose the Masters.
Yeah, Augusta National is definitely a second shot golf course. You've got to hit the greens in the right places, and then you've got to be able to pot on the humps and bumps. And if he's definitely a quality iron player, we all know that. And then if he can improve that putting, it's going to be tough to beat him in Augusta because he's already won there, so he knows what's going on. Carlos, a few top names kind of missed the cut at the players, which happens. Lucas Glover, Justin Thomas, Billy Horschel, Jordan Spieth, Justin Rose, Will Zalatoris, who's been playing fantastic this year. But it really hurts the tour when a couple guys like Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas miss the cut.
It definitely does, because those are two of the most recognized names, and you always want them to be at least near the top of the leaderboard, because, like everything, it's ratings, right? And honestly, when you talk about Scottie Scheffler, one of the things that you can have against him is that he's not that marquee name, whether we want to try to make it so he's not. So we actually do need the Jordan Speeds. We need the Justin Thomas. We need the Rory McIlroy, which I was reading, Scottie Scheffler's caddy has made more money than what Rory has made so far. So it's incredible that we are not seeing him also at top of the leaderboards. And we do need those big names to come back here, which is one thing that I haven't noticed well this year. And that may be one of the things why ratings wise, the golf is suffering, whether it's because of the people that have left for the LIV, or just because the big names are not surfacing on top of the leaderboards. Professional golf has a problem, and those big names that you mentioned and others really have to step up if golf has to survive this ratings issue.
Yeah, you mentioned Rory. I watched a fair amount of Rory at the Players. He is just so inconsistent with his wedges. He had 26 or 27 birdies, but triples, doubles, a bunch of bogeys. I mean, it's just so up and down. We know Rory's always been consistent. He's always going to be that way, but usually he's able to pull it off. But man, he just was not able to do that. And so my question to you is that, do you think Rory maybe is on the back nine of his career and he's fading and will not win another major? What do you think?
Hmm. Wow, that's tough to say, because we've seen him go on some streaks before that he's not performing well, and then all of a sudden he starts playing well again. So I hope that that is the case here. But like you mentioned, his game right now is not suiting up to try and go and win the Masters, which is what we would all like him to see. But definitely, I wouldn't call him out on going on the back nine of his career yet. I mean, he's still young enough to be on his prime, but definitely, I just think he's on one of those slumps that he goes into. And if you see anytime that he goes into those slumps, he's getting into some issues with talking about something. Is bringing up attention. And right now, we've been hearing him a lot about the LIV and trying to make sure that all the both tours merge and have everybody playing in one tour. So I don't know if his focus is right, but it seems to be like every time that he's able to go into these slumps, it coincides with something that he's going after. Off,
Speaking
off.
of speaking of LIV, did you see that Tiger and Yasser Al Rumayyan had a little visit at Albany this week?
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know what to make of that, right? But definitely, I really don't want to comment on it, but definitely it's something to think, right? Because also Rory making comments all of a sudden, about welcoming the guys from there. I don't know if really what is going on. I would like to get your take on that.
Yeah, I think Tiger. I think Monahan set up the meeting. I think probably to assuage Tiger, who is, I mean, still the leading name on the tour. Right, he's on the tour policy board, so he's very involved in the day-to-day actions of the PGA Tour. I mean, it's important to him, and so I think he probably asked for the meeting. Now, the the funny thing about this is that it said that like 6 or 7 holes into the round, Tiger pulled a hamstring or something and had to leave and go back in. So, you wonder if those discussions continued on later, if maybe he was just mad and left, or, it really brings in a lot of scenarios there. And, I was looking back, I don't know if you've watched any of the new Full Swing on Netflix. And when the old reels came up of Al Rumayyan and Monahan being interviewed about the merger and all that kind of thing, and they seem like long lost buddies and all this stuff. And here we are, almost a year later, 10 months later, nothing is resolved. The PGA Tour has made some deals with some American businessmen about pumping a bunch of money into the tour. Um, is this thing going to get done, you think? Where are you at the current time?
I don't know. That self-imposed deadline of December 31st came by quickly, and it's been there. I mean, the PGA Tour ultimately, like you mentioned, struck that separate deal with a group of US billionaires, and reportedly it raised its value right now to $12 billion. What do you need the PIF right now? And I think that is part of what's going on. Maybe um, they they just want to make this go the deal. Maybe that meeting with Tiger, who's right now the only tour player director that joined that meet and greet there in the Bahamas. Uh, it seems like they really want to do it. But my questioning is, why, after you made that deal with the with those US billionaires, you really need to do this? Maybe because you're gonna try to prevent that the PIV poach more megastars like it did with Jon Rahm. That could be the only thing. I just think the only thing that's left is getting those players back and prevent any others from leaving. That would be the only thing and the only motivation that I see from getting this deal done. But I mean, the tensions could be cooling again. I don't know, paving maybe the way towards the deal, but I don't see it happening because the players on the PGA Tour, right, really right now don't have anything. There is no more leverage from the LIV and the PIV to try to make this deal. And the PGA Tour really doesn't need it right now at this time.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. Bringing those other guys on board and getting their influx of money invested into the tour really put them in a stronger position at the bargaining table. They don't need the PIF. You're exactly right, and they kind of needed them before because they were hurting. So here's a good question for you, Carlos. Is Jay Monahan really the bad guy here? Is he working this through? And he got kind of like taken by surprise like a hit on the side back of the head when the PIF started doing what they were doing in Greg Norman 2 years ago. But now he's reacted and has got the power structure switched back to the PGA Tour. Do you think Jay's doing a good job? What's your job rating for him right now if you're going to do an assessment?
I am going to say that Jay is in a very tough spot now. With the players now getting the majority of the of that board, now they really control what's going to happen. So they cannot go out there and try to finish this as maybe Jay and the other directors predicted at the time or wanted at the time to be happening. Uh, the players right now don't have any anything to look for at as to why to do this deal. So Jay is in a very tough position right now. I don't think that he's doing a bad job. I don't think he has the leverage now to do anything that he wanted to do with this deal. And Roy McIlroy, I think the only sticking point right now is what's going to happen to those players, the path back to the PGA Tour for the LIV players. That remains the point of contention. And I think that's where a lot of the players right now are sticking to. McIlroy has been saying, he wasn't sure there would be movement in the short term, but that a deal should be finalized more because of the contention. Try to eliminate this noise is the only thing that really they want to get out. Because money-wise, there's no need. But I believe the only point of contention right now is what's going to happen. That path back for those LIV players that are there, how are they going to come back? I don't think the players that remain here that are now in control want that to happen.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that probably is the biggest sticking point right now. What is the path back for the LIV guys? And the guys on the PGA Tour that did not go and did not take the money, and the younger guys and the lesser known guys have now raised up on the world rankings. They don't want to give all that up and let these guys just cruise back in. So I think you're exactly right about that. So Carlos, I mentioned earlier we've got a lot of big stuff coming up. We just had the players, we got the Masters, the PGA, the U.S. Open, and then the Open Championship. But then we've got the Olympics, the Tour Championship, and a President's Cup. So I already know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask you, what's the thing you're looking forward to the most this year?
Masters. That's the thing I'm looking most forward to. The majors is really where we're gonna see all the top players at this time. So it is what I want to see, but you know why you said why I'm looking forward to is definitely the Olympics. I want to see how is it gonna go. That I'm really high always on the Olympics. To me, that is the pinnacle of sports every 4 years. So I want to see how it turns out.
Carlos, it's been great having you back on the show. Great topics tonight. So you take care of yourself. We'll talk soon.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's great to be back, and hopefully we can do it soon again. Thank you.